Alright, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want us to discuss HEX and the censorship wars that have been going on for the past 2 years or so. And are things starting to change? We'll break it down in this video. If you like this kind of not only quantitative and technical analysis on HEX, but also the social layer on top of HEX that really runs a lot of what goes on in terms of narratives, right? Then leave a thumbs up, be subscribed by the end of the video if you aren't by now, and let's talk about this. So ever since Hex's launch, it's been met with plenty of adversity, plenty of it. And there's no lack of, I guess, of censorship around Hex, which is ironic because the whole point of cryptocurrency is censorship resistance. That's the only real, that's the real reason, the only real reason you need a blockchain in the first place, right? And so for something like money, currency, it makes sense. You don't want counterparties being able to censor your transactions because in a way, well, not in a way, but rather this is factual in my worldview that how you spend your money is a form of speech, right? So freedom of transaction and of association with certain merchants or whatever commerce you want to do should be between you and the other party. It should be peer-to-peer, person-to-person, P2P, which, again, that's the whole point of cryptocurrency, is to get rid of counterparties, brokers, right? And so to have your cryptocurrency, just the simple statistics of it, just the ranking, the proper coins, market cap, all of that, to have your coin censored by the mainstream media is the biggest FU and just full of irony, right? And so why are we here? We obviously want to see a better world and remove this sort of censorship. It looks like the gates are slowly starting to come down and it looks like it's speeding up, right? Why do I say that? Well, yesterday we had a live stream where Richard Hart went on with BitBoy, who BitBoy has an interesting relationship with Hex, right? He got gifted some. It grew like 20, or it's not 20x, even more, like 200x. I don't know, crazy gains, and he sold it. For the most part, hasn't really talked about Hex, but rather recently, again, yesterday we had this live stream where Richard was on with not only BitBoy, but Dapp University, Altcoin Daily, and I think some other people, but those were some pretty big names in there. And it seems there's a sort of respect that's arising for Richard and for Hex and for Pulse that's coming soon. So I guess there are a few reasons why I think maybe we're starting to see the gates come down. One is the obvious fact that most of crypto is like needs to double. Most cryptos need to double right now to reach their all-time highs, and that's just a fact. Whereas on something like Hex, it really only needs to go up like another 20% for it to reach all-time highs versus 100% like most of their cryptos. Not only that, obviously Richard is launching PulseChain, which is going to be the largest airdrop in history. So that might be getting some people out of their caves and talking a little bit more about just Richard in general. And obviously it's hard to talk about him without talking about Hex, but PulseChain might be the gateway into that, where there's incentive. There's incentive for people who hold ERC20s, even Ethereum, to transition over into PulseChain, or at least interact with it in a way that's synergistic to their interactions with Ethereum. Maybe use Ethereum for your long stakes, maybe use PulseChain for your shorter stakes, because the ecosystems will allow for certain advantages on one chain versus the other chain. So that'll be a trade-off, right? It'll be a trade-off that many of us are very happy with making. And even the whole security argument can kind of be torn down a little bit because proof of stake is different than proof of work, right? So, I mean, okay, without getting too much into the whole PulseChain ecosystem, I will say that it could be PulseChain coming in soon, coming in hot, with incentives that's causing these guys to actually start showing some respect towards not only Richard, but the products he's making, the cryptocurrencies he builds. And so that's one thing. Obviously, price performance is another. So regardless of what it is, we saw that once he went on just yesterday, it's been less than 24 hours, or about 24 hours since the stream, has almost 100K views, and you see that Richard has actually gained like 3 to 5 thousand Twitter followers, a few thousand on YouTube. He was like at 55, I believe, 56. So definitely seen at least 3 to 5 thousand new people, new eyes, right? Looking at the content, being educated, and just having their world opened up to what is actually available. Okay? So hopefully we start seeing more of this. Again, this is sort of a different video than I usually make, more of the social layer aspect of HEX as opposed to the technical or the quantitative side. But I do want to touch on it a little bit. So we'll dive into a little bit of TA here. And that's the fact that we are holding our 20-day MA, 21-day EMA ribbon very nicely. Those are sitting at 8.18 cents and 8.11 cents respectively. We are at 8.18 cents. So sitting right on top of it. We're going to have our daily close in about an hour or so from the time you're watching this video. And so we've been holding this ribbon for the last 4 or 5 days once we close today, if we can hold this. So again, that's generally a good sign. As you see, the last time we held it with nice wicks, it was off to the races from there. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm generally leaning a little more towards the bullish side, but acknowledge that anything can happen. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Take only the risk that your risk profile allows you to take, right? Never financial advice in this video, or really any YouTube channel for that matter. You should be making your own decisions based on your own critical thinking and personal situation and all of that. So yeah, hopefully we see the respect start coming in and stop being gatekept, because I mean, there are sites like the obvious one with hundreds of millions of views per month that is actually being sued by someone in the community, I believe, because of their obvious lack of transparency and just manipulation of what should be public data, which a lot of people actually consider to be financial advice, right? That website specifically, which I won't name, but once they get their shit together, then I might start naming them, or once it's a little more relevant, because right now it makes no sense because it provides no benefit for you to go over there, right? No benefit to you or anyone. So we'll leave it at that. I appreciate you watching. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy this kind of, not qualitative and quantitative, but rather the sort of fundamental social analysis on HEX, and we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that. Just a little fun one. Let's go back into this. So Charlie Lee, owner of Litecoin, tweeted back in December of 2019, the literal bottom, bro. He tweeted, "HEX is an obvious scam. Even if not a scam, it's a really bad investment. I would stay far away from it." So first of all, the cognitive dissonance is heavy. He starts off by saying HEX is an obvious scam, implying some level of certainty, right? It's obvious because he's so smart. And then he immediately questions that certainty in the following sentence by saying, "even if not a scam." So it is this. I'm certain about it. But if it isn't, okay, like, where'd the certainty go, bro? Then he goes on and just flat out gives you financial advice. Says it's a really bad investment. I'd stay far away from it. And since then, price is up hundreds of X. Hundreds of X. So, I mean, I almost want to quote tweet this and call this guy out and say, like, yo, aren't people supposed to acknowledge when they're wrong? Like, where you at? Where you at? Your 1 million followers now are waiting, man. I don't know. Go check out my Twitter if you haven't by now, and engage with the good old the comments I make. Some of these are gonna get spicy, right? And it's good for engagement. So yeah, go follow on Twitter if you haven't yet. Thanks so much for 1,000 subs, by the way. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to touch on, is that social layer aspect of HEX, a little bit of TA, the fact that we have thousands of new eyes on HEX as the rest of crypto is falling. I think it's a good sign. I'm excited for the Lex Fridman podcast, right? Because he also has, well, it's not all about the millions of followers, right? That helps. Lex Fridman has, I believe, similar 1 point something million followers, but he has no hate to BitBoy at all, but I actually don't even really watch BitBoy's content. But with Lex, I love his interviews, man. He goes so deep. He gets into so much, man. Philosophical, deep, very intellectual conversations where he appreciates nuances and actually dives into nuances. And Lex is super chill guy, really great interviewer. and him and Richard, man, I hope that live stream lasts 4 hours plus. Not live streaming, excuse me. I hope that the Lex Fridman Richard Hart interview lasts 4 hours or more, because like I was saying, the absolute nuance and intellect that would be in that conversation would be unreal. So super excited for that. Hopefully once PulseChain is actually live and rocking, and we don't need, and Richard doesn't feel the need to be putting out fires every 10 seconds, which is what he's probably doing. I have no idea how that guy spends his time, but I assume it's in a productive way. Then I'd hope that interview can happen, because I think Lex only wants to do it in person, which is fine, right? Some people like that in-person connection. Whatever. It seems like it'd be a great time. So I'm really excited for that. Again, I know I was gonna end the video earlier, so thanks for sticking around. If you did, leave a thumbs up if you enjoy this kind of content. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get to 4,000 subs. Appreciate you watching. Leave your thoughts down below on pretty much on anything, man. Like questions on PulseChain, suggestions for the videos. Always appreciate those. Comments on everything I just mentioned, the social layer aspect of things. But with that said, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.